So we're going to start with the scenario. Miss S is a 72-year-old retired school teacher. She lives alone with her dog Ginger and is very independent. She was shoveling snow on Monday morning after the big snowstorm. While shoveling, she developed a crushing sensation in her chest. This is not the first time she has had chest pain. Miss S has a history of angina, though she has never had a heart attack. She takes an aspirin every day at home and keeps nitroglycerin tabs in her pocket just in case. Mrs. S took nitroglycerin tab and an aspirin and drove herself to the hospital. Mrs. S was admitted to the hospital on Monday afternoon with chest pain, ruled out myocardial infarction. She has been a patient on cardiology for 4 days now. She has had no chest pain since Monday and is ruled out for a heart attack. She has an IV of 0.9% normal saline, and it's kept open, and expects to go home on Monday morning. At 2200, Mrs. S puts on her call light. Hello, Mrs. S. How can I help you today? You're having chest pain, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most pain you've ever felt. How bad is it? It's a 9. Okay, and you're sure. All right, Mr. PCA, will you please get an EKG and some vital signs, please? And I'm going to go and grab nitroglycerin for her.
Hello. Let me help you out here. Just relax. Thank you very much. We'll have you back on the ice in no time. And there we go. Let me get your vitals. Blood pressure. Thank you. Temperature. And you are having pain? Thank you. Respiration. All right.
Thank you. And her vitals are now at 90/52. We're going to give her the nitroglycerin tab. Her EKG does show ST elevations, so we're going to make sure we report that to the doctor. Her heart rate was 120. Her breaths were labored at 36, and her pulse was at 85% on room air. We're going to give the nitro under the tongue. So we're going to put this under your tongue, okay, to help reduce the pain and clear your chest pain if possible. And we're going to wait 5 minutes right here next to the patient to reassure her and to make sure everything's okay. We're also going to put on 2 liters of oxygen via nasal cannula. And we're going to repeat another set of vitals. Her blood pressure after the nitroglycerin has reduced to 80/52. And her oxygen, though, did improve to 91% on the 2 liters of oxygen. Mrs. S is very anxious at this point, and she feels terrible. I'm going to increase her IV fluids up to 100 cc's per hour and call the physician to wait for orders. Yes, doctor, please come on in. So the patient at 2200 developed 9 out of 10 chest pain. An EKG was done and it shows ST elevation. Her blood pressure at that time was 90 over 52. Her heart rate was 120, respirations 36, and her oxygen was 85% on room air. So I gave her a nitroglycerin tab sublingual, placed her on oxygen, 2 liters, which increased to 91%, and increased her fluids from patent to 100 cc's an hour. That was the situation. The B in that is background, and her background is that she's a 72-year-old independent woman with a history of angina. While shoveling snow, the patient had crushing chest pain. She takes aspirin daily. She was admitted 4 days ago to rule out a myocardial infarction. And the assessment that I have done so far is that she has no relief of pain with the nitro sublingual tab. Her blood pressure tanked. It is now 80 over 52. She's become anxious and her chest pain still persists at 9 out of 10 pain. Let's see. The recommendation that I would suggest for her, sir, would be to go to the cath lab. Increase her fluids, more than 250 to 500 bolus an hour, as long as her lungs are clear, because we don't want to put her into CHF. Start a second IV, get some lab work, a portable stat chest x-ray, and morphine if her systolic gets greater than 100. Also, increase her oxygen level to 4 liters so that her saturation is 94% or better. Thank you,
Very
sir.
good. Thank you very much. Carry on.
So the only thing that I would add in this situation thus far, because it's very realistic, is to add a short introduction. At least let the doctor know who you are to this patient to further provide the necessary care. What I would do different in this particular scenario is that she was in the hospital for 4 days. Mrs. S should have gotten a stress test or some kind of echocardiogram to see where this 9 out of 10 pain is coming from, because she does have the history of angina. The pertinent information was that she does have a history of angina, and that this hasn't been her first, second, or probably her third episode. So I think that's real good information, and also the fact that she does live alone, so that maybe we can get or try and find out if she has a support team available. That would also be some pertinent information that we would need for her. Also, I believe the information that was given to the doctor was clear and concise, and it paint a picture, an optimal picture actually, of the patient's situation, so that he or she, whoever the doctor is, can provide the necessary care, call in the correct teams, the cath lab team, radiology, lab, and even some follow-up therapy care if so needed for this patient. Other than that, I think everything was basically real simple, straightforward, and I think the prognosis is the patient will be just fine. Thank you very much.